Dear viewers, today Mr. Ashwin Fernandes, who is Regional Director of QS World Universities Ranking, he is with us. He came on a special invitation of University of the Punjab to respond to various queries of the universities to help improve the university's ranking. So he is with us for a special interview for PUTV, the Educationist, and PU News. So thank you very much for sparing your precious time. Thank you very much. First of all, we would like to ask what is actually QS and why it's important for universities and countries.
So first of all, it's my third visit to Pakistan, and I'm pretty fascinated by the country, by the people, the hospitality in Pakistan and in other cities as well. Over the last few visits I have made, I have met some really impressive researchers, some very energetic vice chancellors, and I think there is great appetite in the country to become an educational hub for the Southeast Asia and South Asia region. When we look at Pakistan's performance, when we look at how Pakistan features on the global map, there is a long way to go, but I can comfortably say there is a great appetite to do better and to be able to become a hub. From QS, we were founded in 1990 at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania by the founder Nunzio Quacquarelli. And since then, QS has grown to be one of the biggest and most influential higher education intelligence providers. And we not only do the rankings, the world rankings, which we have been producing for 16 years, isn't the only thing we do. We do many other things besides rankings, and rankings are the tip of the iceberg. But I'm glad that our world university rankings are today referenced by various government agencies, by governments themselves, by various cabinets. Right here in Pakistan, the Honorable Minister for Education, Shafqat Mahmood ji, has proudly, I can say that he said that QS is the golden standard of university rankings, and I think that is really, humbling for me when, over the last 8 years which I have been with QS, I have seen various such instances where QS is referenced by used for various purposes, and we are, I think, building the economies of these countries, because what universities do is that universities provide an opportunity as an innovation ground. It provides an opportunity for economies to do much more than what they are doing right now by providing a much more enabled workforce, providing a fertile ground for innovative content, and definitely leadership as well. So at QS, we are proud to be associated and coming here to Pakistan and visiting, the country, visiting various institutions, and just to quickly end there, we were founded in the Wharton School and we moved to UK. QS has 500 staff members speaking 40 plus languages spread across the length and breadth of the world, and I'm pretty happy that we are a change maker, an influencer in the world of higher education.
I was studying that QS was launched in collaboration with the Times Higher Education, and then it parted ways from it, and now the Time Higher Education has changed its certain parameters and indicators, but QS is ranking the other way. So how you compare both the rankings now?
That's a great question. QS was not founded primarily for the rankings. So we started off in 1990. The rankings came out in 2004. So QS and Times Higher Education partnered to produce the World University Rankings. We did it till 2009 together, and due to several differences, like any business would have, we parted ways. They produced their own ranking, which is being available in the market today. And as a professional, I wouldn't like to comment on their ranking, because each of our organization is doing something different. So it is up to the public. It is what do you want to find in the rankings, and how do the rankings fulfill your objective, or as a student, perhaps even looking at it as an academic, as a leader, as an alumni. So there are various stakeholders.
Right. So, what matters in universities ranking? What are those parameters which are very, very important for the universities to work on?
The World University Ranking has 6 indicators, and those 6 indicators are really key to measuring a university's performance over the last few years. And academic reputation is one of them, which weighs 40%. And this is not just any reputation. This is not we asking people on the street, what do you think our universities, what kind of performance of universities, but this is really the academics around the world who are involved in teaching or research or both. So this survey measures the responses of over 94,000 academics spread across the length and breadth of the world, and we have approximately a 1% representation from Pakistan. Considering the population, considering the representation of the landmass of Pakistan, 1% is a bit less, and I think that number, with institutions like PU encouraging various activities on rankings, will see an increase in the future. The other indicator is the 10% for employer reputation, which measures what employers have to say about about the quality of graduates, and thereafter from there it looks at a 20% weight for faculty student ratio, a 20% weight for citations per faculty, and a 5% weight each for international students and international faculty.
There is a general impression that countries' overall repute dominate their universities' repute. Like an American university is likely to get a good reputation due to the country's repute. So, how do you counter this general impression?
Okay, it's another great question to ask, and I think if you look at the QS ranking, we have over 70 countries represented in this ranking. So definitely it's not just a ranking of the United States or United Kingdom or those very popular Western countries, but it is an amalgamation of various countries which today are becoming student hubs. And amongst this is Pakistan. Along with Pakistan, some of the Asian countries represented are Bangladesh, Vietnam, Sri Lanka. So I can say that definitely the West has taken a lead in producing some of the world's best universities. But let's look at the numbers in the US. There are approximately 4,000 universities in the US, and QS measures a total, ranks a total of 1,000 universities globally. So we still are not measuring majority of those institutions in there, because we are looking at a global ranking. And when you look at the universities across the world, UNESCO says there are 28,000 universities. So we are looking at the creme de la creme of universities, the top performers in the world, which really are making a research impact across the landscape. So definitely I don't think we are supporting only developed countries, but yes, having an open policy, having good immigration rules for foreign students to come in, having good freedom of expression, academic freedom does play a role in building world-class institutions, because this would build the reputation. So ultimately, if Pakistan needs to grow from here, increase its reputation, it needs to have major reforms done to be able to create that niche amongst international students and international faculty.
Critics say that QS ranking is typically very much subjective in its nature. So what is the counter argument?
See, again, extremely valid argument, and I think a lot of people ask this question, why reputation? But reputation is measured through a vast survey of over 94,000 academics. Now 94,000 academics put together can't be wrong. If you're looking at perhaps 100, 200 academics to do the survey, perhaps I would say the results could be skewed. But let's look at a comparison of rankings, and we look at Shanghai ranking, the Times Higher Education ranking, and as well the QS ranking. Approximately 80% of the universities in the top 500 are the same across all these rankings, and I can proudly say that we cover larger ground, by having the reputation part. Because, for example, one common complaint in South Asia is your vernacular or local language. So Urdu being a very important part of the culture and the civilization of Pakistan, you would like to have and still produce books which depict the history of the country, the region, in Urdu language. And definitely by by focusing only on research, perhaps because that's the only indicator which can replace reputation completely, we are not doing justice to the country, and we are not doing justice to the language, because Scopus, as we know at the moment, has a very low representation of foreign languages besides English. So I think reputation is there to cover that. Also, as you rightly pointed out, US has definitely an edge, but by having reputation, we can give young contemporary countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, or any other country, Vietnam for that matter, an opportunity to shine on the global map. So I think besides whatever people say, what are the criticisms people say, I think academic reputation plays a great role and supports providing a robust ranking system like US.
Okay, Mr. Ashwin, since you are a regional director, how do you compare Pakistani universities and Pakistani people with Indian and other Asian countries in providing data? Because providing data is very important for this ranking. So, because you are seeing all the horizon and all the regions, so how do you compare where Pakistani universities stand in providing data and the required information?
I can say all of South Asia, all of the Middle East, which I handle, are very, very readily willing to submit data, and the data is very minimal as well. It's a few numbers you need to submit, and I can happily say over the last many years, as I have traveled across the seas of the regions here, people have become much more regular, much more acceptable to the fact of having a external agency doing rankings. So everywhere, right, in India as well at the moment, there is a government push as well. So I think there are some lessons to learn. It took almost 5 to 6 years to convince the Indian government that this is a good measure of excellence, and I think Pakistan has already, in a first attempt here, mentioned that QS is the golden standard. So definitely, I think the government saying this puts a seal of approval on our work, and people submit data much more easily to QS.
Then how do you verify data? For example, if someone give fake data or exaggerate the numbers,
yeah.
So how do you verify?
So fake data is something which we haven't had to face so far, because what we do is when institutions submit data, we make it extremely clear that they are submitting this data in the most accurate form, and we are dealing with universities for whatever we are talking about. These universities are the universities that are training the future generations, and I don't think, and I'm pretty confident that the universities will not indulge in this, because if it does also slip by and it gets into the ranking, this data is made public. So people can spot it after the ranking, and there would be disciplinary actions taken against the university that does it. So we haven't had a case so far, and universities are pretty honest about the submission.
Mr. Ashwin, since you specially came on the invitation of University of the Punjab, and today you gave a very comprehensive presentation, so in your opinion, what type of audience was there, and what was the response of the faculty? I mean, it was passive or it was active responsive audience?
So first thing, I haven't seen a room where people were standing in a long time. So I seen almost 20 people standing behind, through at least the 1/4 of the presentation. So that's a great sign, because that means there is appetite, there's interest, and there's inclination to do something better. So that's really, I would like to commend the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Niaz, on this, on motivating these people, because it requires leadership, requires really bring people together, and for him to get across almost 200 of his faculty members who were not just there to criticize the actions, but to learn, to understand what these things mean to them and how they could use rankings as a benchmark of excellence for them. So the room was filled with questions, a very motivated crowd, and I was pretty impressed with it, and it went on beyond the time, and I hope that this provides some kind of an opportunity for the university to start doing better in the rankings. So all the faculty members will contribute in various forms, be it research, academic reputation, employer reputation, and so on.
What suggestions you give to the Punjab University administrations and faculty to improve its ranking further?
So there are various things Punjab University can do, and something which is perhaps in their hand at this time is to improve the research output of the institution. And that would happen through perhaps better funding to the faculty members, clearer policies perhaps on producing collaborative research. At the same time, on partnerships, promoting them to go outside of Pakistan and collaborate with countries which are outside. I mean, Sri Lanka would be one of them, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia. There are several Asian countries, and my suggestion would be look east, because we've had a lot of universities from the East which are doing so much better in the rankings today. So, and that means that they are doing actual work. So I would suggest Pakistani universities, and especially Punjab University, to start looking east, sending the faculty members out for programs or conferences, and allowing them to flourish with that. At the same time, working on connecting with alumni. Now that has been for a legacy of being established in 1882 and having such a rich legacy in terms of history and prominence, and having some of the most prominent people as the vice chancellors, it deserves better in the ranking. So, and with the number of alumni out there, which probably in the last 10-15 years are in well-established positions, connect with them, because that would help increase the employer reputation. And while your faculty members are going out for research, they are also building the academic reputation. So these are the three recommendations I would have for University of the Punjab.
Right. So the product of universities are the students. So do you think that more focus is on research productivity and less focus on the real produce of the universities, who are the students? So when I was seeing the numbers of the percentage of the weightage, student size was comparatively less as compared to the research side.
Right. So research is only 20% in the weightage, and I think there is a fair balance between good teaching and good research. Now that's the reason why we have had reputation as well is because it overcomes challenges related to research as well. Because if you have a research intensive methodology, it does not capture the essence of the reputation of the institution, which could also mean it has good teachers as well at the same time. So I believe that definitely students are the heart of what we do. Our rankings are meant for prospective international students, but for us to have any more explicit indicators, we need availability of data as well. So this set of data, I can say, that proves that institutions are on the path to being world class, and we are only looking at the top 3 to 4% of institutions globally. So with whatever they have done in reputation, in faculty student ratio, having more international students, more international faculty, and research, it provides a good outcome for an institution to be called good, and I think that's what matters to students as well.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
So
Thank you
nice
so much.
of you.